So if you've been worried about, how the District of Columbia is foreign soil, you need not worry. No, it's likely owned by Scots because it always has been. Yeah, I'll get to it though. First, I wanted to talk about Donald Trump's lineage that goes to King James IV. No big deal or anything. I assumed, I guess, that that he would then go to all of the lineage, but he doesn't. There's a reason they say that the lineage is at King James IV, okay? It's because King James II did not have a male heir. And King James II, so this was after our pilgrims came here, by the way. So this was like 1688, somewhere around there. So it was the pilgrims came here in 1620. So, but King James II, around 1688, he was also a Catholic papacy and decided that the bishops, there were 7 bishops, this story about 7 bishops. These were the 7 bishops. And so he told them, and he's a Catholic papacy, that like he ended up going above and beyond what he should, like with his kingship. Because, he was saying he was being divinely led by God. Yeah, no, when you're doing what he did, you're not being divinely led. Because he ended up having the 7 bishops arrested because he told them, because they were these 7 bishops, and they weren't bishops for Catholicism, they were bishops for the Church of England. So they were also in the parliament, these 7 bishops. So they were saying that the king was, because the king wanted them to get up in the Church of England and say that Protestant nonconformists and Catholics are okay. It's okay. Like that they're accepted. So where he went too far, though, is they refused to do that. And so then he had them arrested. Okay, and they ended up winning on a jury trial because they had a right to, because they were also part of Parliament. So they were saying the king is stepping over his role. And really he was. But that's the reason why today in England anyway, their Parliament, all the Queen does is announce who's won. She, or if it's a king, but it's most of our lifetime it's been the Queen of England. She's not supposed to get involved in any of the political stuff. It's more formal. You know what I'm trying to say? I can't think of that word. It's more just for the custom of it. They're not to take part in any political stuff, though. Anyway, a lot to do with because of what happened with the 7 bishops. And there was just, this is why religion is such a problem. Because at one point, because James II was a Catholic papacy as well, he ended up taking all of the Protestants' weapons away from them. And, it was just this. So not all the kings were Catholic, but in fact, there was a rule made that none of them could marry a Catholic at one point. So then it seems like, you're abusing the Catholics, but really, I'm not trying, I'm just saying, like, I think there were people like the Pilgrims, they recognized that, like, if you know the Holy Spirit, you can recognize, look at these people are dressing like Pharisees. There's something, when it's not right. So I think that's the reason why King James II had so many problems. But because King James, they weren't really worried about his ongoing heir because he didn't have an heir, a male heir. So a lot of the Protestants, because the Protestants, I guess, were in the Church of England, but they weren't worried about what this King James II was doing because his lineage wasn't going to carry on. Because his daughter, Queen Mary II, she was a Protestant. So then you get to King James III, okay? So that wasn't a direct heir to King James II. And King James III wasn't so great either. he just so he ended up having two male heirs, and the oldest was obviously ended up going on to be King James the Fourth. King James the Fourth is the one that Donald Trump is related to. That's his lineage goes to him, and he did great things for Scotland. He's looked upon highly. He built up the navy. The first time there was a navy is because of him. He mandated that everybody get educated in arithmetic, grammar, science. Yeah, he did great things, and he battled on the field. In fact, up until he died fighting Henry VIII. But he went on to also have great heirs that did great things as well. So after him, after King James IV, was King James V, and this was Scotland, okay? And King James' wife, Mary de Guise, gave birth to their daughter, Mary, Queen of Scots. And on the death of Elizabeth of England, Mary's son, James VI, King James VI of Scotland, became James I of England. So the first Scotsman that was the King of England. So I know it's confusing when you get all these different, the first names. And so, yeah, so this is after King James II, the other King James II, because Donald Trump's lineage goes to the House of Tudor and the House of Stuart. Yeah, no big deal or anything, of course. Really, it's not, because we don't do all that royalty stuff here. But his lineage, they were great kings. I mean, I learned this listening to Scotsmen talk about it. The other thing that's, yeah, important to know is that it's because of Scotsmen created the Capitol, the layout, everything. They're all owned it. It says here, the Scots invented and influenced the world way beyond their country size. But did you know that Washington, D.C. was named by, built by, and erected on lands owned by Scots? Yep. It was after the Civil War. Even refers to how Alexander Hamilton was an illegitimate Scot. It wasn't saying that in a bad way. He's just said, where is it here? I don't want to confuse people. The point is that not only did a Scotsman, Stoddard, buy the land from other Scotsmen and plan the capital layout with another Scotsman, but it was also he who named it Washington in the District of Columbia. Now, every self-respecting American knows this guy in front of the Treasury building, born on the Caribbean island of Nevis, Alexander Hamilton here, is an illegitimate Scotsman, he says. And it says, as you walk around toward the White House, you'll notice how much of the architecture is late Georgian. Of course it is. It was the Parliament of George III, against whom the colonies had rebelled. Apparently, George Washington had insisted that the White House be built of stone and be decorated with ornate carvings in keeping with the standards of a national capital. So where would you find someone that could build stone that way or work such elegant masterpieces with high quality design? Who here would have that kind of trade and experienced in creating such beauty? Well, the stonemasons, and that's your Scots. So yeah, the Scots are, yeah, they pretty much, I mean, they like, I'm sure they still own the District of, there's Scotsmen that own the District of Columbia. So even though you could say it's foreign land, well, it's really not when they like built it all up. And what is Donald Trump? He's a builder. Just all ties together, doesn't it? Too many coincidences.